What is your For You page? I'm so intrigued.
Mate, it's just random crap. I don't like anything. That's the thing. Like, I just don't like anything. Yeah, so just random crap comes out.
I just watch shit, and I've got like Cal the Dragon, of course.
Yeah, it keeps popping up.
And then I've got like this guy who has this Martinelli account. I think it's called @MartinelliGoal. And it's literally him comparing him to Hazard and Ronaldo, Messi sort of thing.
What a bell end.
And it's like he'll take clips of him because Martinelli has turned good a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say but then he'll turn bad again. He'll get injured and that's
he'll get injured and his momentum will stop. He's in a purple patch, but and it's the one I've had like the most ever since we went to watch it. I've just had constant Spider-Man on my For You. I don't know about you.
No, it's died off. Thank God. I don't want to keep saying it. Don't kill the movie for me.
Yeah. What did you think of the movie?
Movie's quality.
Yeah.
No, it was it did not disappoint. There was so much hype to it. It could have easily just like flopped.
Absolutely. It's like
quality.
I look at it and it's kind of like they had so many elements they had to sort of juggle on it, and like you say, at any point it sort of could have fallen through if they didn't include certain things. Let's not spoil it, shall we?
Yeah.
But there's things in that film, and if you haven't watched it already, go and watch it. But hello and welcome back to the Beatables Podcast for 2022. I'm joined by Tom, and we're back, kind of. This is our...
We don't know when the next one will be, but we're just enjoying it.
We're not putting dates on it anymore. I think that's important. And I know we've been away for a little while, but it sort of felt right to get back to it.
Yeah, we've actually got stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we've got a whole year of stuff to talk about, which we kind of didn't get to. Coming back from uni is nice for Christmas. And obviously you finished uni, which we touched on a little bit, I think, in a couple of the episodes that we did at the start of this season.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot has happened since then, so I'm quite interested to get your take as a graduate on what the world kind of feels like for you. But let's sort of go all the way sort of back before we started going and recording again. What was it like finishing your degree as such in a time where you could not go and do what you needed to, like, properly?
It was a real dampener on things, I got to be honest. Like, I loved my time there, but that third year was just not enjoyable. It just really wasn't. And my course, well, for those that are listening, was forensic science. It's very practical, hands-on stuff. There's still stuff now that I don't know, which I should know if I ever wanted to get a job in the field.
Yeah.
So it put a real downer on things, and obviously for the freshers as well, they didn't even get the chance to go clubbing and all that stuff. So it was a poor year for everyone and stuff. And to be honest, that was one reason why I didn't actually go on to do masters stuff, because they offered it at half price to me, but I'm just like, I was
half price, really?
Yeah, they offered it half priced. I think part of it was to do with the fact you were already there. Part of it was to do with grade as well and stuff, but I don't know. I didn't want to do another year of just online learning. It's not fun.
No. The sort of sections we've had, like,
I'm
this
already
year,
like 50 grand in debt. So.
Yeah, it's probably best not to get a little bit more added onto that. But like,
exactly.
What we've done this year has been nice because I've gone back after placement, of course, and that was a big experience.
It's been a role reversal.
Yeah, a little bit
between me and you.
It's nice though, because as much as I did enjoy working like properly, and it felt like I had like a proper job for the first real time of having maybe a career as such, but that was good because it gave me like a bit more of a motivation to go back and to finish on a high. Like
exactly.
Like I think
I don't think you did yourself justice in the first 2 years, and I think you'd accept that as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that's something that I look back on and I'm like, nah, I should have done significantly better. Like, it's really frustrating now. You sort of sit there. I've got 6 months left now, pretty much, and this year's going better, so much better than the last.
I was going to say, I had to go right. You've had a load of stuff go on both years. So.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the latter stuff that's happened this year, I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. But in terms of like filling that time, because I know obviously we've spoken off of this quite a bit, but filling that time of finishing the degree, graduate. How was your graduation? Like, how did you feel?
Graduation, first of all, very grateful I even got one. Because I speak to a lot of people at work, and they didn't get one. They just got their degree sent to them in the post. Yeah. So very grateful to have that, because like obviously, well, I can't speak for everyone, but when you sign up for uni and stuff, you always picture yourself in the gown, the hat, the photos and all that. You just picture the day. Lovely to have the photos and stuff. Those professional ones arrived the other day, actually.
Nice.
But I got to admit, the actual ceremony itself was awful. It was actually dreadful.
What? Something you
3
paid
years. We were told for
50
3
grand?
years it was a professional event and we'd really enjoy it. It was just an hour and a half of straight clapping. And I had
Sounds too bad out of context.
yeah. But it was just an hour and a half of clapping, and I had 30 seconds to myself, and that was it. It was just dull and stuff.
I've seen clips where you just walk up, you wave, and then get.
Yeah, it was literally that. I think the best part was going into the other hall next to it and just raiding the prosecco. Just did laps of the hall because they were offering like free prosecco on the door.
Amazing.
So I'd go through the exit and then come back through the entrance again, and I did that like 5 or 6 times.
I can just picture it. You sort of like, yep, cheers. Oh, I might go back through actually.
Not
Wear your hat at a slightly different angle.
Not even a prosecco fan, but I just
to get you through the day.
I needed something come the end of that because that ceremony was dreadful.
Yeah, but of course the evening that you came to see me and Ben, and of course you saw other people down at uni. That was nice.
It was nice, to be fair. I must admit, it's probably the last time I've seen a few of them since thing.
Is that how's that as a thing when you've come to like move away from Bournemouth? The people that you've met there over the last few years, how has it been to have that now physical distance from people, as well as like maybe you don't get the opportunity to talk.
It's difficult and stuff. It is with everything. Distance is difficult for a lot of things, whether that be with family distance, relationship distance, friendship distance. It does make things difficult. I wish I could have seen some people more, I must admit.
Yeah.
And I tried my best, particularly it's not Southampton, September, November, October time. But November and December has been tricky with work and stuff, because obviously that's the difference between me and you now, is obviously I've got the job and you haven't.
Thanks.
Thanks. No, it's not. That's not a dig. I swear, it's not a dig and stuff. But that's just how the roles have changed. I will say though, post-uni blues is a thing.
Oh,
it is 100%
I've witnessed that
thing.
from you. I've seen you.
September. No, August was amazing, and so was July. Those two were incredible because everyone was back. It was good weather. COVID had died down. It was beautiful. It felt like life again.
Yeah.
And then it was sort of October, November, and those 2 months were just dire.
Well, yeah. I mean,
they just were incredibly boring. Obviously, it starts getting dark again,
which is rubbish.
Yeah, exactly. And most things that we do, like playing football, like playing golf,
the sort of sportier, outdoorsy stuff.
You need it light. You need the nicer weather. So,
well, yeah. We're not going up to the Astro at 5 o'clock in November, are we?
No, exactly. So, yeah, that is a thing. So, any uni student that is listening after this, just wait for your month.
Brilliant. With coming back, did you feel maybe that, because I know you said that it got to a point though where you didn't miss the place you'd lived for the last 4 years?
I do not miss Bournemouth.
No,
I really don't. I got to admit, there's nothing there, apart from the beach, which is really nice to have.
It's literally the only draw.
Right, I just don't miss the place.
No,
I don't. I didn't really like the life.
No,
and stuff in the end. No.
Sharkies.
There's certain elements. It's the thing, like where I wish Trowbridge had, but I just the Bournemouth life, the clubbing and all that, the uni life, that ended end of second year for me, because first half of third year I didn't go back because of personal problems, and then when I got back I just felt uncomfortable.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
That's not on anyone I was living with and whatnot. I just felt uncomfortable because the lifestyle wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So I like being out of that now.
Well, of course, you were the only final year moving back down, weren't you? Everyone else
exactly.
was in second.
So everyone else had their thing, and in the second year you got a little bit more time. It's not, obviously you don't see the end goal necessarily in that end year.
No, certainly not.
But yeah, I don't miss the place. I'm glad I'm back. It made you realise. Well, it made me realise what I actually value in my own life and where my happiness comes from. And there's always people like, I'm going to move here for this job. I'm going to move here to do masters and stuff. But a lot of my happiness comes from being close to my family and being close to my friends.
Yeah.
And that is Trowbridge. That is Wiltshire. So I don't see myself moving or straying too far maybe like 2 hours away max, because then I can come back in a day and do it all in a day.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I think that's quite important because the year we've had, I think family, like you mentioned there, family and friends, when you've been, and even the year before, being separated from everyone for so long, and then you get to go back, you realise what you miss and what you really deeply care about. And that's something that over the last couple of years is something that I've really started to notice a bit more. And, you know, I think that family element is so crucial. Like, you know, you think you go to uni and you know, you get this independence, you live away from home and you feel great. But being away from, I mean, I know Bournemouth isn't too far from where we are.
No,
but even still,
I can do it in a day, easy.
Yeah, of course.
So,
but you miss it, of course you do.
the independence, you touched on that. I do miss the independence.
Yeah.
I must admit, and that's why I try to spend as little time in the house as possible.
Yeah.
I think that's why August, September was going really well, because I had so many options available to me and I could work around work and stuff, and so I wasn't really in the house that much, but I spent quite a bit of time in there the last 2 months. That's not me saying the house life's bad
No.
and stuff, but independence has been stripped back a little.
Do you wish you'd gone back and rather than done, you know, I mean, I know you sort of mentioned it was for personal family reasons, but going back to do final year solely from uni, do you wish you'd done that, or are you like happy with the decision you made?
I sit here now and like I look at my uni experience, and I think I'm very black and white with it and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Brilliant. I got memories and stuff, but at the end of the day, I was there for the end result.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I got the end result I wanted, so I wouldn't change anything. For as much as I didn't enjoy the degree as much,
Yeah.
Under COVID, assessments and all that were a lot easier. So even though I was first and second year, I was on track for a first. There's no guarantee if I was back, if everything was normal, I would have got that first thing.
Yeah.
Having everything online, sort of open book, it was easier. So no, I'm happy. I've got no regrets in that.
I think I look at how I've gone about this year so far, and I think maybe I'm slightly the opposite, in which I need to be there. I feel like I work better in Bournemouth. I feel like I work I don't know what it is. There's something about the place that I feel like I can be a little bit more. I don't know what it is. But
I know what you mean, because like first and second year, my ability to work and work efficiently was a lot better in Bournemouth, because every time I came back here I got distracted.
Yeah.
But yeah, in third year it was a complete switch. And I think that's just because of where my mind was, and that there was so much distraction in Bournemouth. I actually got on better at home. There was points when I got back in after Christmas in third year where I was like, I might just go home again and just leave it as that, because I wasn't like, there was definitely a dip in around January, March time in what I was producing. It wasn't as good.
Yeah.
I was getting distracted easily. But then I can say I enjoyed the distraction because I hadn't had that.
I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I think I'm very much a people person, and being at university and, you know, having the opportunity to meet new people. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the group of boys we have back here. I love the group of mates we have, and I wouldn't change them for the world. But meeting more people on top of that and forming it's different, isn't it?
It's about having I always liked having different groups at uni.
Yeah.
I think I said that to you a number of times about having different groups, trying to keep them separate, make things fresh and stuff. The way you touched on about having the opportunity to meet new people, do you reckon that's something you're gonna miss? Because I've not really lived life too much the last 2 months or so, but there is not as much opportunity.
No, I think it's different, isn't it? You look at a bigger town like Bournemouth compared to where we originate, and there's always going to be more things that are going on, more opportunities in terms of like things to do and places to go compared to what we know, because we know it. It's not as exciting because we're not seeing these new places. But I think with what I want to do job-wise, I'm going to end up travelling to places. I'm living different places. I don't know how you know, it sounds a lot more adventurous than maybe it will end up being. But I can't see a point at which I will be stationed, unless I get a job down here that sorts me out financially and everything for the rest of my career. I'm going to be all over the place.
I was going to say, it's good to have like a idea of what you want, something to aim for. But I've learned probably to be just very open-minded on things. Like for instance, I've said here that I don't see myself moving 2 hours away. But you just don't know with life.
No, life
X
can
and
throw a
Y might
curveball.
see it come along. Relationship might come along.
Yeah.
I've always said I'm a southerner. I'd like to stay southern.
Yeah.
But if that's a situation, then obviously you've got to give that some thought, haven't you?
It's an interesting topic to move on to with the job hunt. How has it been looking for that sort of that career rather than a job, but looking for something you need to get into for the next 30 odd years? Bit daunting.
It's been difficult because for a long time, and it's only in the last year I've kind of realised it's not been a good thing. I've been so traditionally set in how I go about things and what to expect. Like, it was always a case of go to school, sixth form, uni, job, settle down, family, and in that sort of natural, well, not natural, but that
Progression.
Traditional progression that people expect. But it's not like that. I thought I was going to be in a career job by now. I'm not. But it's not a bad thing because it's offered me the flexibility to do stuff out of it. So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, but you say that, but we're only the age
Exactly,
we are.
and that's what I keep
That's
having
something
to tell myself.
That's something that in this ever evolving world we're in, you see something that I've picked up on social media especially, is you only ever see the good things that people want you to see.
Yeah.
Like when they're doing well, when they're moving upwards, when they are having that progression. But you don't see the kickbacks. You don't see the moments where they're like, oh, there's been a pause, What, I don't know if we'll have to cut this, but obviously with one of our friends, they were looking to get a house and then that didn't happen. You don't hear about that on social media, but you would see it if they bought it. It's things like that. So I think there's that rush now to get into positions like that because you see everyone else doing it, but that's not necessarily that might be the minority. It's not the majority of people our age.
See, I don't know about you, but I've said this for a long time now, and you know my socials. I very rarely use it.
Yeah.
I think it's toxic. I think it's so incredibly toxic because, like you said, you only see the good, and then you constantly make comparisons to your own life.
Yeah.
And assessing where you are, and it will only bring you down. And there's a few people I know that don't have social media, and they are so much happier in their life. They actually are.
If we didn't have this, I wouldn't have it.
Exactly. Like, I never post on Instagram. I'm not interested in how many likes I get. I don't tweet because I'm not funny. So
I tweet and I'm not funny. So
yeah, I don't need anything for Twitter. If I need any transfer rumours, I just type it in the search bar and it comes up and I can have a quick scroll.
See, I tell you what, I'll give you a little story. I was so unhealthily obsessed with Twitter at one point where I would be in a position or in an environment where I'd be feeling a bit like, whoa. The first thing I would do would just be to scroll. I was in a lecture hall and I felt really angry. I was right in the middle and I felt so anxious. I was I felt like the whole room was closing in, and that feeling usually leads me to feel like I'm going to pass out. My coping was just to go on Twitter and look at what's going on because it keeps you occupied. Yeah. And it's that algorithm of quick information and it keeps you focused. It switches your mind. But that came to a detriment of me not listening to what was going on.
But it's really difficult. It's like you mentioned, being anxious. It's trying to find if that was your coping mechanism at the time. Yeah, I appreciate you probably didn't listen to what the lecture was going on, but I also completely understand and appreciate that you were just doing what makes you feel comfortable, which is what you try and do. God, I could sit here and talk about anxiety for 2-3 hours because that's the one thing with COVID that's COVID's affected people in many ways.
Yeah,
People have lost loved ones, and that sucks. Like, my deepest sympathies to those that have, because I don't think it's been handled well at all. That's another.
I think that's
another route I could rant about for 2-3 hours.
Let's not go on that one.
But like, yeah, it's confidence destroying and stuff. Like, my anxiety was through the roof completely. I wouldn't go outside. I wouldn't do anything. I'd just trap myself inside. And
that affects relationships as well.
Yeah, I lost my relationship because of it and stuff.
I didn't mean to.
I know. I can openly talk about it now and stuff. But that's part of. If you're trying to take the positive from things, and I think it's really easy to say, always look at the positives and stuff. I hate that phrase because, like, but that's what you got to do. But at the time, you don't want to listen to that because,
of course,
it's just annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you are going to take the positives from it, it has made me appreciate what I value most in life, and it has taught me, when I do feel like that, not to resort to ways which I became accustomed to, which just shut myself away and stuff, because that's not good. So I try and take the good with it.
Yeah, I think that sort of coping is something that I have. There's something that I have done in moments of, whether it be stress or you know, I'm trying to find the right way to word it now. But I've managed to sort of, over the last few months with, I think I just explain it. It's probably better to explain it. Over the last few months, we had a death in the family, which has affected quite a lot. But so it was an unfortunate moment, let's say, and then that progressively got worse, and that was really hard to deal with. However, I found that by distracting myself with sport, that would be my way of getting through it. And, you know, that would be in between coming home, supporting family, supporting the people that needed it, because that's the kind of person I am.
I was going to say, you've got a heart of gold.
And I think I pinpoint it back now, and it makes sense. I look at how I distract myself with playing football, and I can track it all the way back to the first example of loss that I felt when I was 12, when I lost my friend to cancer.
The reason you supported Liverpool?
I supported Liverpool from that.
Yeah.
And that fixating on how they were doing, and if they were doing well, would help. I look at when I lost another family member when I was 15, all I was doing was going and playing football. And then when my mum had her diagnosis in 2018, I was going out and playing football. And now this happened again. And it makes sense now, because I can look back along that and say, oh, that makes sense. Because that was the first way I found of coping with an issue like that. So of course I was naturally, unconsciously going to carry that forward. And I'm sure there are ways that are much more unhealthy to deal with things.
Oh, I think that's very well known in the world, that obviously people that are struggling, or people who've experienced loss in whatever form, they do resort to things. I think it's very important, as you said, to have a coping mechanism that's healthy.
I'm just glad that it was.
And I didn't have one. But if I was going the way I was going, and that was not a healthy way of coping with it.
No, I think
So the one thing that I've learnt this year is mechanisms to help me when I am stressed, when I am angry, when I am sad. It's just important to have a healthy way of dealing with it, because it is perfectly normal.
Yeah.
You wouldn't experience it, if it's sadness, anger and all that, if it wasn't normal.
Yeah.
And it is sadly just part of life, isn't it? Again, like, in regards to, I'll bring up my situation. Obviously, we've got very different situations.
Yeah.
Your situation with family loss and stuff, but like COVID, trying to protect my dad, protect those vulnerable around me.
Because for the people that don't know, your dad is high risk.
Exactly. But you end up just losing yourself.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
Yeah.
I think it is so important, where trying to put on a brave face for others and always trying to make sure you're doing well by others. Try to not lose sort of the interest in looking after yourself at the same time. Because if you don't look after yourself, then how are you meant to look after the ones around you?
Of course. At the end of the day, the people or the person that you are accountable to first and foremost is yourself. You can't build if you don't set the foundation, and that foundation is how you feel, how you act. I think you can't go to try and help people if you need fixing.
Exactly. I think just the message I take from this is just, if you are struggling, don't just put them aside to and neglect them and put on a happy face whilst trying to help others around you. If that's your thing, because it doesn't work.
No, and no matter, like, you know, you might hear that and think, oh, nah.
I think
it's important, because you just leave it and just let it fester. One day it will get worse. One day it will become something that's unmanageable.
Complete case of bottling it up, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds. It's not worth it.
No. And I think if that's one thing I'll be bringing forward into next year, or this year as you're listening, that's something I'm taking with me.
Yeah. Well, you said about bringing stuff into this year. New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
Or New Year aims and stuff. I don't really like the New Year's resolutions because they only last a month.
Yeah, like the gym, or not eating chocolate, or not having a drink. You know, it's things like that. What's your primary aim, I think, for 2022?
Primary aim, and it's gonna sound really broad, but it is just to live again.
Okay.
Type thing, like experience things, do new things, because I haven't lived a very sheltered life the last 2 years. I haven't done much. I haven't really got much to document or whatnot and stuff. So going out, doing things, experiences. I don't care how much it costs.
Silverstone.
Exactly. So I'm going Silverstone this year for the first time ever.
So cool.
So
cool.
I can see why some people don't. It's pretty penny.
Yes.
But I don't think you could put money on things like that, a value.
Especially something I've really honed in on, like we've mentioned earlier, is that family aspect. And of course, you're going with your dad.
Yeah.
Experiences with your dad.
I just think you got to take every moment and get as many experiences and stuff as possible.
Yeah.
Because when I'm sat in my rocking chair when I'm 90, hopefully, touch wood, and stuff, the only thing I'll have is to look back at memories.
Absolutely.
So, still in the prime years of my life, even though I kept telling myself a few months ago that my life's career now.
23?
Well, I will be 23 this year.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I was always.
So you're not there yet. Don't wish it away, lad.
No, exactly. But that's what I was on about. The traditional sort of mindset that I had, and that I've learned to change, is that that was pretty much like, okay, full-time job now.
Yeah.
Meet someone, settle down, and thing, and that's not a bad thing. Because part of me still wants to do that.
Yeah.
But I think I've accepted that I'm still young, and there's still time to do things. Because I don't know about you, but it does feel like the world at the moment, particularly sort of youngsters and stuff, it's just getting old. It feels older and older. I'm seeing so many kids in their age of 20 buying houses and stuff. It's crazy.
But those stories are the ones that get pushed because, it's that.
Yeah, exactly. So you think it's the majority.
You think it's the norm, but it's not.
I know, but it just.
No way could we at 20 have bought a house. Look.
I don't even look like I'm gonna buy one in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, no joke.
Yeah, no, it's a scary world, especially with the housing situation. But that's, again, we could go into that for hours.
So what is your New Year's thing?
It's going to sound so incredibly vague, but to be
fair, mine was vague.
To be balanced. I think that's something that I'm not.
Seeing as though what we've said in this, I think balance is a really good way of putting it. I was going to say, when you said balancing, my first thing that came to mind was you're constantly, and I've touted on in this episode, is you're always looking out for someone else. You never really look after yourself and give a moment's thought to yourself. So yeah, balance is a really good way of putting it.
So that's the aim. Whether we achieve that, hopefully, make it a smart target.
I actually quite like that one, I must admit.
Vague though.
It is vague, but then I think vague's good, because I think if you say something really specific.
I want to lose a stone in 2 months. That's my aim.
To be fair, that comes under balance, because you could say spend a bit more of your time working on physical health. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really good way.
It's another thing. It's one of the things that goes by the wayside, especially at university. Don't get me wrong. We trained, of course, we trained for the charity game. Could we have done more? 100%.
Oh, I loved that period of time though.
It was
Right,
good.
that was so good because I actually was looking after myself. I was eating well. We were all meeting up frequently, but we saw a lot of each other and whatnot, and it actually felt like normal again.
Honestly,
I love that
those
period.
going over to the live field and training, and it was amazing. I remember the first week we went, and I was injured because, of course, I was. I'm always injured. But I was running it, and I felt like a coach, and like I hadn't felt that way since I was like 16 when I was doing tennis coaching. But like thinking, right, okay, this is the drill I want to do. I want to do 4, and then I want to do 3, and then I want to change it so it's, and you get to see different experiences. Yeah, of course. Explaining it far too much here. But doing these scenarios, doing these drills, and doing like a little warm-up, it just felt proper, and we were taking it seriously, and that's what...
There was something to have an aim on. I think it's really good, important to just have an aim. I don't care how big it is.
Yeah.
Just have an aim. Stuff. You can have a number of aims as well. I think that's one thing I've learned is I've always been like, okay, if I have one aim, I can't do anything else. But you can.
Of course.
You can, like, obviously I started at the gym and stuff, so I'm got my aim for that, but then I also have a career aim.
How is the gym going?
It's good. It's trying to get into a routine, which is something I've not really had.
Yeah.
And it is really hard given my job because my hours are very flexible. They chop and change every week. So routine is incredibly important. So hopefully I can get the right routine with that. Hardest part about the gym though is eating.
Okay.
Like the actual gym itself is not that bad.
Yeah.
Like once you deal with like the aches and pains that comes with it, it's the eating.
Because you've got to put on.
Like, yeah, exactly. I've got to eat more, and I'm not a big eater anyway.
Yeah. Whereas I am the opposite. I could probably do with eating a little bit less, but I do love a good scran. So.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that in this year.
Well, hopefully we'll have a group aim to retain.
I do
Bridge
think
Cup.
if you speak to any of the boys, I do think that we will have an underlying desire to
do
something
it
like that again.
We
I'd
wanna-
love it this end. I really would love it this end.
Yeah, I think having an aim with a collective, that's quite cool.
Well, it brought us all together, didn't it?
But no, it did. It brought everyone together because, I don't know, it was like for the first time in a very long time, we were all together and we were working towards something. And that hadn't happened since GCSEs, I think, really. And even that wasn't even collective, but we were all there at the same point working for something.
No, 100%. And I don't know about you, and this is kind of a weird take on it because the day was so good.
Yeah.
But I actually loved the build up to the day just as much as the day.
I love the training. I've since then, I've proper gotten into my footy stats and everything. I love looking at like the way in which you prepare for games has changed.
Coaching badges inbound.
Maybe I'll have to find that money in the debt pile that I've given to Bournemouth University.
I was going to say, how much is it? It's quite expensive, is it?
It's not cheap, but maybe one day.
I didn't think it'd be that expensive.
But I'd love to coach properly, but we'll...
Teaching under 8s.
Telling them how to Geigenpress.
Get
them playing the Raumdeuter.
Wait, I was going to say, get that Chelsea bloke in for a assistant manager.
When Kai plays the 9, you
The
have Mount who can overlap.
Oh, that'd be quality.
One day.
Right, I think it's only fitting that we end the podcast on something sporty.
Oh,
even though I think we have spoken that sport going forward might not be our sole aim.
I think let's not rule anything out.
I was going to say I don't think our content is always going to necessarily be all sport going forward because
I think there's a lot more. We enjoy
doing the personal one, the personal episode. But yeah, favourite sporting moment of 2021.
There's a few. I think we saw a lot happen in the last year, and I've got 3.
Oh, he's got 3.
I've got 3 to whittle down. One of them's quite personal. One of them's nice because of the way it all happened, and one of them's quite a renowned, I think, the safe answer. So,
go on,
how many have you got? I think that's...
There's probably 3 I was going to mention.
Right, so our sport moments of the year of 2021. Let's do one at a time.
I've got one sad, one happy,
Yeah.
and one personal.
Okay. So I'm going to go with my first one. Was when you're in the 94th minute or whatever it was, and it's 1-1 away to West Brom.
Oh,
Picture
God.
the scene. And you see, everyone's in the box. You need to win to get Champions League next year. And who comes up from the back? Oh, it's Alison Becker.
We literally mentioned this, like, watching the Leicester game a minute ago. Yeah, fair enough.
Who had just lost his dad in a horrific incident. Scores to win the game days after. I can't imagine what he must have been. In the post-match interview, he was saying about how he hoped that his dad and God had been watching the game and things like that. And I think
it was just
character.
One of those
Amazing.
beautiful sporting moments. It was, I must admit, like, even I'm not a huge Liverpool fan.
Yeah, really not.
I'm really not. But even, yeah, it was.
I was driving home from Bournemouth with BBC Sport Radio on, and I had to pull into a lay-by because I couldn't quite believe what was going on. And
Crazy moment.
I was just driving, and it's like the commentator's like, "Oh, is that the goal? The goalkeeper's coming up here," and you just hear screams because no one can believe that this goalkeeper has just won the game. And honestly, that was a big moment. That was a big moment of 2021 for me.
Fair enough. You see, my moments are like, they're not like that.
No.
They're no. Like, right, okay, I don't know which one to start with. It's in a desert.
Yes.
And a crime was committed.
Well, let's not say that too loud. That's quite a big accusation to make. Does it involve Michael Massey?
It does involve Michael Massey. What a robbery. That was painful to watch.
You know why they did it, though.
I know
why they did it. Deep down.
I still go backwards and forwards on different opinions and stuff, but the ultimate take I get from it is sport can be so cruel.
Yeah.
And that's what really annoyed me on the day, and I still can't quite grasp why this is even a thing in life. But you could do everything in your power to get something, and it still won't happen.
Oh, believe me.
And it is such a painful concept.
Yeah.
That I just can't grasp it. I hate the idea of doing your best and not getting what you get from it. Like, that's why, like, at school, I never, like, at GCSEs, I never tried my best because I didn't want to know my best didn't quite make it.
Yeah, I get
stuff. But that was just painful to watch because on the day, and when I was watching it, on the day, I was just solely thinking, oh, Hamilton's driven the perfect race. Okay, on the bulk of the season, Max probably was the better driver.
He was. That's the thing, though, is that it's so difficult, isn't it? And I'm of the mind that if the race wasn't equal on points going into that decision doesn't get made at the end.
Exactly. There's so many things that you could and ah about. God rest Charlie Whiting, because if Charlie Whiting was still there, we would have had
an 8-time.
We would have. I don't think not necessarily an 8-time, but we would have had no question marks at the end. Yeah. We would have had a red flag. We would have had everyone on new tyres. We would have had a standing start, and we would have had 5 laps of racing, not 1.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's an example of just a shocking moment.
I'm relatively new to F1, and compared to yourself and a few of our friends who are really sort of embedded in it now, and for me, it was so exciting. And I don't have like allegiances to any driver. I know you're a big Hamilton fan.
My allegiance ruined the whole thing. If I was an avid lover of the sport, and this is why I have so much fun watching sport when I don't have a personal attachment to it.
It's like watching a penalty shootout when you don't care who
Exactly,
wins.
you love it, but when it's your team, you hate it. And it was just a case of that. Like, as a pure F1 moment, it was amazing.
I was up out of my chair. I got invested in that sport 2 years ago, and I was out of my chair like I couldn't believe what I was watching.
I was fuming. I was so angry at the result. I got in my car and just sat in a car park for like half an hour. No joke.
I was
distraught.
I hadn't felt that way or that animated about sport since Willian scored a penalty against Manchester City and I broke my toe. I have never felt so animated and darted.
It was a
like,
brilliant
what
moment.
is going on? It was incredible.
It needed to be. I think as a sporting moment, I had to say that. Like, obviously, I personally was on the wrong side of it. I know a lot of people were on the right side of it, but it was definitely a sporting moment.
Yeah, but I think it sets the narrative up for next season to a T.
Buzzed.
So good.
Hamilton wins it and then
Oh
retires.
yeah, I don't think
I'm
Red Bull
calling it.
come close. I think Red Bull have pushed so much.
Mate,
that they fall
Mercedes
off.
have already fired up their engine.
There we go.
Scary stuff.
It is.
Go on then, back to you.
My second one, a man called Luke Shaw decided to score in the third minute against Italy.
I even forgot about that.
We were in this room that we're recording in right now, had all the boys here, watching outside, watching in here so we could distance, and just when that happened, everyone went crazy. And I want to couple it with Pickford saving Jorginho's pen in the shootout, because at that point, everyone, except Greg, thought that we'd won. Greg was sat there like, we've been here before.
I completely forgot about the Euros. The Euros as a whole was a really good experience, and it did bring everyone back together.
It's weird having it on an odd-numbered year.
It was.
And having the same branding still there for 2020.
I think that doesn't hurt as much as the F1 for me, though, because because I know I expect that with England. I know it sounds ridiculous because we got to the final, but I just do naturally expect failure with England.
Expect the worst and you'll never be disappointed.
Exactly. It's a horrible saying, but it is true.
Yeah.
So.
There's mine. Luke Shaw scoring against Italy.
I'll go with a personal one.
Okay, I'm really hoping it's not the same one, because otherwise
it was the charity game.
Oh, brilliant!
So I don't think we need to go into it much because we have said, but as something that we created.
Yeah.
And something where the result didn't matter at the end of the day, because how much we raised was the main thing.
Yeah, of course.
But the result meant actually so much to us.
There's been pictures I've revisited since, and it does make me feel a bit unwell, of just seeing but it showed just how much I think it meant to people. There's a picture of me darting around in the manager's box because I wasn't on the pitch, but I don't care. I really don't care, because the work we put in for that and the reward the day we got, it was meant to be horrendous weather. We got out and it was sun. It was lovely. And we had our family there. My granddad was there, and he saw us win that game, raise that money and lift that trophy. And that is something.
It was just, to be honest, it was just a beautiful moment in my whole entire life, to be honest, not just 2021. It was everything I wanted and more that day.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I think build up, like you mentioned earlier, was great.
Yeah.
The day was great. But I remember
just everything came together.
That evening we had before the game, where we were all at that restaurant, and you had a few players, his girlfriends.
And the parents.
Your parents and my parents being in the same... And them getting... My parents were fantastic and got us drinks. That was lovely. Probably shouldn't have done that before the game, but fair enough. But
that was a really nice moment.
There was the big table of everyone, and you had people from home, people from uni, and it was just boys, we're here, we've done it, and we're in Merthyr, and a huge thank you to Merthyr Town for that, and for agreeing to being partners with us, because that's opened doors to us to be able to do these things that we've wanted to do, and to give back to a wonderful charity that helped my mum, and things like that. You don't get opportunities like that.
No, that's like I touted on earlier in this video about sitting in my rocking chair when I'm 90. That is one of the moments that will come straight to me, because that was a childhood dream as well. That was to play in a stadium, lift a trophy, get a taste of what the professional life would have been. But it was a beautiful moment. And
thank you, Alex Free, for bailing us out. That was really, really good of you to score twice.
Right, your last moment then.
Well, it was that.
I kind of feel bad saying this.
I got one more.
Go on then. I was going to say, because my last one is probably not as emotional as that.
For me, the other one this year, excluding the charity game, is Tyson Fury winning his trilogy.
Yeah.
I think a testament to a man's character is how they combat that adversity that they've faced, not only from within themselves first and foremost, but from other people, judgment of other people. And for him to beat Wilder and do that, that's a demon there gone off his, like that sort of.
That was a case of just adversity. I've seen the build up. He had COVID.
Yeah.
He had his daughter problems with his daughter.
Yep.
Got knocked down twice. He was one knockdown away from losing that fight. Because if he got knocked down in that same round, it doesn't matter if he got back up. The fight's called because of the rules over in America. It was just a thrilling piece of entertainment. It really was. It's credit to both. I thought Wilder. It takes two to tango.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was amazing. I say these have been good moments. I kind of actually regret bringing this one last, but it was Chelsea winning the Champions League.
I thought you'd say it.
I actually feel bad with me saying this the last one because I don't know.
No one really cares about Chelsea.
Why exactly? But like the charity game was probably bigger. Yeah. But for me, that game came at a time where I'd fallen out of love with the sport. I'd fallen out of love for a lot of things. Life had been very difficult, and it was just the first moment in about a year that I truly felt happy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, a year is probably a thing. Probably like half a year, 6 months. It's the first time I felt a bit of happiness again. And it just kind of put me on track again with things. So that was a big moment.
I think that really does fit with the theme of this episode, in that no matter what we have gone through, there's always that chance, there's always that opportunity, there's always that something there in the dark.
Yep.
That will provide you with what you need, and
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what shape or form it comes in.
No, absolutely not. And heading into a new year, I think that is something that's so important with everything we've been through over the last 2. Going into a new year with positivity and motivation and everything we've talked about today.
And it is a challenge. It's not easy and stuff, because there's times that I don't listen to my own advice that I've said in this episode.
Yeah.
And there will be times in this next year where I do feel a bit low. I think I speak for everyone that we will and stuff. But to try and stick with that positivity, motivation is important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if there was one thing we could give you guys to take away from today and this episode is, first of all, we'd like to say thank you for sticking with us. And
we've not retired just
We
yet.
haven't retired yet. We told you we'd be back. We just didn't tell you how frequently we would be back.
Exactly.
But from myself, I'd like to say Happy New Year. Let's make 2022 one to remember.